Hey guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
We're two lifelong friends and musicians, but when we're not playing gigs, we like to talk games.
And today on the Game and Gig podcast, we're talking about tackling our ever-growing backlog versus playing new games.
So, something that I think about a lot is this idea of, should I play an old game for my backlog, or should I play whatever the new game is at the time?
The new hotness.
Yeah. And it's a struggle that I go through a lot. And I imagine that there are plenty of other gamers out there who have this exact same struggle.
At least one or two.
At least one. And so today, we're going to talk about tackling your backlog, playing new games, kind of the pros and cons of each.
The delicate balancing act between the two.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff I think we're going to go through today.
This is a banger of a podcast.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm always torn between these two things. Should I play a game that's old? Should I play whatever the new game is? And, yeah. But first, let's categorize what exactly we mean by a backlog game and a, new game. Because I think there's a little bit of a gray area there. And what, in your mind, when is a game considered a backlog game? At what point? How old does it have to be?
Well, I have two answers.
Okay.
One, if it's over a year old, it's not new anymore. I would say, if it didn't come out in the past year, I'd say it's not new anymore, and it could probably comfortably sit in your backlog. But I have a wishy-washy personal feeling about this too, as a man who has added to a backlog more than once.
Right.
And to me, it's as soon as I start playing a game and I play it for however long I play it, if I move on to something else and I know in my heart that I'm not coming back to that very soon, that game is now in my backlog. And I think it could happen within a week of launch.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, I've done it.
Yeah. I definitely, it's weird because we're talking about I think maybe it's two conversations here. What is new? To me, if it's in the last year, I'd consider it to be new. I agree with you, a year old. But then also, I kind of deep inside of me feel if it's over even just a few months old, it's not new anymore. I think to be new, it's got to be pretty dang new.
It's got to be pretty dang new.
Right.
And these days, it can't be finished either.
Yeah, it can't be finished. Right. The game's new when it's got absolutely no polish and it just has tons of glitches and bugs.
That's kind of the calling card of a new game.
So maybe that's how we determine what a new game is.
That's why Ragnarok instantly became a classic, because it was so polished and finished. It wasn't ever new.
It was never new.
It was an instant classic.
Yeah. I think that's a really great way to do it. No joking at all there. I think that if the game is glitchy and janky, that's how you know it's a new game.
Or it was made by Bethesda.
Right, and it doesn't matter at what point. It could have come out that second, and yeah.
It might be less janky and less buggy, but they're always going to have that Bethesda sparkle.
So you're saying that Skyrim is still a new game, right? Yeah, okay, I thought so.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
So, no, but I think for me, I don't know. I'd like to think in my head that if it's under a year old, it's a new game, and anything other than that is an old game. But to me, a game, I don't have to own a game for it to be in my backlog, because it could be in my mental backlog. I could have been thinking about it. You know what I mean?
I think that's a wish list.
Still in my backlog.
No, I think you have to have the game available to play for it to be in your
I have
backlog.
to have purchased it either digitally or physically, and it has to be there.
You have to have it somehow. I don't know if you purchased it or took the old 5-finger discount. I'm just saying you have to have it.
Fair.
I think.
Okay.
Even if there's a game that you have that I know one day maybe I want to borrow and play, I still don't think that's in my backlog. I don't know.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of thoughts on this. This is just categorizing this. This is why we're doing this podcast, because there's a lot of intricate things that go on here. Us gamers, it's not so cut and dry all the time. It's complex.
And what if you buy a brand new game, but you know you're not going to play it immediately? You just found it, you had the cash, you bought the game. That game's now in your backlog, and it's a day old.
It's a day old, right? So, anyways, what about let's kind of focus on the backlog.
You want me to focus?
Let's ignore how we categorize it, and let's talk about the backlog.
Okay.
And specifically, the benefits of tackling your backlog. Why would you want to tackle your backlog versus playing new games?
Anxiety. If your backlog gives you anxiety, then tackling those games is going to give you a hit of dopamine, and it's going to feel good.
For me, it comes from I've bought these games, I paid money,
Right.
and I haven't played them.
Yes.
Waste of money until I play them.
That's where the anxiety comes from.
Right.
Yes.
Do you feel that way about games that you were given for free? Like, say it was a game that you got off of the Epic Game Store or through PlayStation Plus or something like that. Like, if it was given to you free, you don't feel any?
Nope.
Me neither.
I've gotten so many games from Epic for free, and I don't feel any pressure.
None. Only the ones I paid for.
Yeah.
So,
And I feel less pressure the cheaper they are. Like, I got a bunch of games from the Steam Winter Sale, and I paid, like, very little for most of them. And I don't feel as much pressure. In fact, I just feel good that I'm, like I took advantage of that. Like, you know.
So I think that probably one of the best things about tackling your backlog is you get that like satisfaction of relieving that anxiety, and you get to cross the game off your list. You say like, I'm done with it. I've played it. I no longer have to feel bad that I can talk about it now because it's not just a game that I would like to play. I can actually discuss it with people.
Yeah. And that's big.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then also, there's the whole cost saving thing, like when you're playing older games, I should say this is a tangent. It's tangentially related to what we're talking about.
Tangentially.
When we're talking about, we're talking about playing games to relieve yourself of the money that you spent, saying it was at least worth it. Well, that was a weird way to phrase
Well,
that.
when you play games, often you do relieve yourself. So,
you know what I mean? Relieve the anxiety that you spent money on it.
yes. And when you say it's cheaper, you just mean like you don't have to spend money that second. Past Randy spent that money.
Well, yes.
Current Randy doesn't have to.
That's right.
Right.
Current Randy sees it as cheaper.
Yes. But past Randy didn't.
Well, it depends on when you bought the games, right?
It does.
See, that's what I think. Even games that you have mentally want to play, those I consider those games. Like I haven't played Outer Wilds yet. Okay, I want to play that game. I haven't purchased it. I don't own it at all, but it's still in my backlog.
No, it's not.
And so, I think these old games that you want to play, they're going to be cheaper to buy because you're so far away from them. They're going to be on sale. They're going to have been discounted. So even that's another benefit of tackling your backlog is that you get to play cheaper games.
I don't think that's a benefit of tackling your backlog. I think that's a benefit of waiting for the game to age before you buy it. That has nothing to do with the backlog.
It's in your mental backlog, Daniel.
No, it's in your wish list.
See,
that's why Steam has a wish list option. They don't call it a backlog option.
I heard that Steam used to be called the backlog instead of wish list.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
Who'd you hear that from?
I can't remember at this point.
Well, look that up and get back to it.
I just know that that's what it was.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Randy's full of crap.
I feel like we're, not doing well with this.
This is why the people watch us, man. They want to see us go at each other's throats.
Yeah, I know. I don't like when we fight, Daniel. Okay. This is something we're not going to fight about. This is a benefit of playing games from your backlog. You get to find out if that game from your backlog was a hidden gem.
Agreed.
I don't think we can argue about that.
No, for sure. And you probably knew a lot of them would be hidden gems, or past Randy wouldn't have spent that money.
Right. I guess are they hidden gems if you kind of suspected that they would be good because you keep hearing them.
Maybe not, but there are going to be those games that you bought on a whim that you didn't have as high expectations for, and maybe you play it and you love it.
True.
Yeah. I would have never played Nier Automata if you hadn't told me, but that game didn't really sit in my backlog. I played it pretty quickly, but yeah, backlogs definitely have hidden gems.
Right. I think a lot of people, that's go on YouTube and just type in gaming hidden gems. And that's what people are doing. They're playing games from their backlogs and they're like, hey, this game is awesome. You got to try this one. So
we should have a backlog counter for this episode. How many times are we going to say the word backlog?
Well, it's not going to be much anymore because we're moving on to the appeal of playing new games.
Backlog.
Because I feel a very strong pull towards playing new games. And I don't feel, now I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like you don't feel that strongly about playing new games.
I don't always, because I've grown cynical to them. Because they oftentimes sell me the $60 or $70 game and it's not good. And it won't be good for many moons until the people fix it, And so most of the time, unless it's a series that I have some attachment to, I don't really feel the need to play something day one.
Right. I do. Lots of times. And I think that it primarily has to do with us being gaming content creators. I didn't feel this way as much maybe a couple of years back. when I wasn't writing reviews all the time and wanting to like try to stay current. Now, I'm not saying like trying to stay current is a great thing to do. Maybe it's not healthy, but I do feel the like push to like being like, I need to play this new game that just came out so I can talk about it and make a video about it and write a review.
I feel way more pressure to hit like the big points, like the Ragnaroks. You know, like I gotta hit that. You know,
The Elden Ring, the
Ragnaroks.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta hit those. But other than that, like I want to play what I want to play, and you know, if that game happens to be 7 years old, then there you go.
But there is a thing that like there's this excitement that comes around with playing a brand new game that you are unsure about. That maybe you're like, it could be awesome, it could be awful, but either way, I'm excited to be playing it day one to see what it's like. I think there is some cool excitement that comes along with that doesn't come along with backlog games.
There is. I mean, I used to do the midnight release thing when I was a younger man. You know, I did Skyrim in the midnight release, and I loved it. I think I might have done the same thing for New Vegas. Anyway, I did it a couple times, but yeah, I mean there's some build up there, you know, to that moment. You get home, you pop the disc in, you wait 2 hours for it to install, and then you play. You know, there's something about that.
There really is. Another thing that comes along with this is, what about like if your friends are playing it, they're talking about it, you don't want to have that FOMO. You want to be able to talk with them about it. You don't want to be the one dude who's not playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And I've been that dude many times. And you know, no one wants to be me.
No.
I'm just kidding. No, I see where you're coming from. And it can be, it can suck, I guess. But it's all about you. I mean, it's about how you feel about it. Like, I did that with The Witcher. We've talked about it. Like, all my friends were into The Witcher, and I just couldn't play it at the time. And it was okay. I lived.
I still do that now, even with games that, like, I've played. Like, if you're playing a game and you're, like, excited about it, it makes me want to play the game, too, so we can like, talk about it together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, you obviously can't do that all the time, but, like, anytime that my friends are playing video games and they're enjoying them a lot, it makes me want to play that game, whether I have already played it or haven't played it. It makes me want to like be involved.
Well, if you really loved that game, you know, then somebody experiencing it for the first time will maybe make you excited about it again. You know,
yeah.
I think that's kind of what you're going through right now with The Witcher.
That is, yeah. Like Daniel's playing The Witcher right now. No spoilers for the last segment of the podcast. We're talking about what games we're playing, but you're really into The Witcher, and it makes me really want to go back and play The Witcher again. Even though it's been years since I played it, it's like, I love that game and I want to, like, it's been a couple years. So my memory of what the exact things that are going on in the game are a little foggy.
Right.
And it makes me feel like, you know, I don't remember exactly. So I feel like I can't talk about it the way I want to talk about it.
And you're like, maybe I have 100 hours to throw at this game again.
Yeah, no. No, I definitely don't. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
But
and you played it on Switch too. So like you barely even played the game.
Oh, I played the entire game, played both DLCs.
That is insane. Did you ever play it in handheld mode on the Switch?
Oh, yeah, a lot.
Was it just awful?
You
didn't even have an OLED at that point.
That just speaks to how good The Witcher is.
Yes, it does. It does.
I noticed that it was foggy, the graphics were awful, the frame rate was bad, but it didn't even detract. It was such a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That really does speak volumes.
That's how good The Witcher is. We should have done today is we should have just talked about
The Witcher.
Convincing people to try to play The Witcher, but that wouldn't have done well because everyone already has played The Witcher.
Yeah, but it does have that new next gen update.
True.
It's got all the ray tracing you could want.
So, we've talked about tackling the backlog. We talked about the appeal of playing new games. Okay, why one might be, you know, what are the pros and cons of each? Now, the real art to this is finding a balance.
And I do consider us artists.
Yeah, we are video game artists. We don't make video games. We make an art of playing video games.
Yeah.
Very few people can make an art of playing video games, but I think we have accomplished that.
Definitely. You should see us play Fortnite.
You should.
It's an art. Our medium is the blood of our enemies, and we paint beautiful tapestries.
We do. And we have a win ratio of maybe like 1 out of 10, but that's pretty good.
Man, there's 100 people on that damn map.
That's true.
You can't win them all.
It's a good time to plug our Twitch. Check
Yeah.
us out on Twitch. Just look for Gaming Gig. You'll find us.
Gaming Gig.
But I do think that when we are at our peak artistry is when we're balancing our games and
Yes.
playing new releases and backlog things. So I have a technique that I use.
Okay.
Okay. In other backlog episodes, I've talked about how many games I play at a time and my kind of how I do it. And my general thing, if I had to boil it down to one thing, is I always, just like for myself, keep 2 games going at a time. Mm-hmm. I keep one game that is my FOMO game, and generally that's a new game. Mm-hmm. And then I have one game that I kind of play, just sprinkled in whenever I can, and that is generally my backlog game.
Okay.
Now, I don't always stick to that. In fact, this week I'm not sticking to that because I'm working on 2 backlog games at the same time. But still, in general, I do that. I have my newer game, and then I have my older game. And that, to me, is a good balance, I think, that most people could probably pull off if you're looking for a way to try to balance it. Mm-hmm. Just have 2 games that you're going at a time. Now, not everyone can play 2 games at a time.
Yeah. No, it's hard for me. I mean, I think that's a great system. I've just, over the years, not been able to do that. Like, historically, I'm a guy who, like, has to play 1 game at a time. That's kind of how it goes. Because
Has to and likes to are 2 different things, but continue.
Anyway, you threw off my train of
You
thought
said
here,
historically you
Yeah.
have to play 1 game at a time.
because if I don't, then I'll lose focus. It's kind of where it comes from.
Gotcha.
But I really just think I'm less pedantic about my approach. I think I just kind of follow what I want to play, and at least that's what I try to do. But then I do always have like the live service games going, like the social games. Like I'm always playing those in addition to whatever else I'm playing.
Yep, I almost just don't count those as well.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's just a given that we're going to be streaming and we're going to be playing our Fortnites and our Sea of Thieves and stuff like that, like with our friends. And those are just like, those are ongoing and you don't really make progress in them. You just kind of play them.
Right.
So although there is some sort of progress, but you see what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I'm pretty much playing on Steam Deck all the time right now. And right now, like we've said, I'm playing The Witcher. The thing about The Witcher is it's so like in depth and intense and encapsulating that it's the only game I'm playing right now. But before that, I was doing some healthy jumping around. I was playing Nier Automata and I was playing some indie games. The Witcher just grabbed me, So, I might be able to do an approach like you if I wasn't playing like a generational classic.
Right. Yeah.
At this very moment.
And I do think that there is something to be said about kind of diving into one game really strongly. But is there any drawbacks to if you only played new games or if you only played games from your backlog? Are there any like real drawbacks to focusing too much on either one of those categories?
I think so, because either way you're missing out.
True.
Either way you're missing out on something.
There are people who like it's their personality that they don't play games at launch, and I've seen people comment on YouTube videos. They're like, I don't play games at launch. I always wait a couple years until like I keep hearing about them over and over, and I decide, you know what, I do want to play that game after all. But there are people who really, and no offense if you're that type of person, I don't mean that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying there are people who do that.
That's an interesting approach because you're never going to be like on the cutting edge, if you do that.
No, but you're probably always going to know that you really do want to play that game.
Yeah,
and it's going to be worth playing because you've kind of waited for reviews and you've waited for people's opinions and the game has staying power, so it must be like it's going to be a game that is worth playing.
Yeah, your average quality of game you play is probably much higher than people who play at launch.
Right. And then there are people who only play new games. Like my brother's one of those people. Like he very, very rarely goes back and plays old games. He's basically always playing whatever new game comes out that he's interested in, but it's only that new game, and he doesn't play any older games hardly at all.
What's he playing right now?
Oh gosh, I don't know. He's always playing those yearly sports games, so who knows? He's probably playing like a Madden or something.
Yeah.
But there are people who like stick with whatever the new game is. That's what game they're playing. Mm-hmm. And I think in a way, that's cool. But
I think that's how we were when we were kids.
True.
But we couldn't have a backlog. We didn't have the money.
We didn't. Yeah. So we were only playing.
Hadn't lived long enough.
Yeah. And that it is cool to be playing all the new games, but it's very expensive. Mm-hmm. It's very expensive to always be playing the new game. And then two, lots of times those new games end up not being worth it. And like not even just like monetarily, it's not worth your time, and you're going to feel like it's easy to become cynical that way.
It sure is. It sure is. I mean, a game really has to look special for me to want to play it like day one.
Or it has to be like a series that you've been following forever, and you're definitely going to be in, right?
Yeah, but like Hogwarts Legacy, like I really want to play that game. You know, that game looks really good. It's got a lot of hype behind it. I want to play that day one. But I am hesitant. Can't help but be.
You just can't. You can't. So whether you choose to play games from your backlog or play new games or try to find that balance, you know, there are pros and cons to everything. I do think that finding a balance is probably the best way to go. And
Yeah.
I had to, I think.
Definitely.
But let us know your thoughts in comments below. We're not done with the podcast here, but let us know in terms of this particular, topic. What do you do? Do you find that you are torn between playing games from your backlog or playing new games? I definitely am. So
Yeah. Let us know.
I'd like to know what your thoughts are. So
That would be a short episode.
yeah, well, we're definitely not done, because speaking of new games coming out, the one that my level of hype as we get closer and closer is just getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And I really did want to do an entire podcast on this particular game, but I just didn't have time to put it together. Maybe that'll be next week. But
Going to delve into some hypothetical alternate history.
that's my idea. But Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is coming out this year. It's officially going to be this year. It's not like it's going to get delayed. I don't think it's going to get delayed.
I don't think it will either. They delayed it a healthy amount.
Oh, many times. It's been delayed multiple times now. So Tears of the Kingdom is coming out, and I put a question out to the Gaming Gig viewers asking, do you plan to play The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom? And Daniel, hit us with the results.
At 54%, folks said yes. At 23%, folks said no. At 14%, folks said, I'm not sure. And at 10%, people said, what the crap is Zelda Tears of the Kingdom?
So the results don't surprise me, except that 10% of people don't even know what it is. That to me is like mind blowing.
Why are you voting on a video game channel's poll if you don't even know what Zelda is?
I think they know what Zelda is. I think they don't know what Tears of the Kingdom is.
How?
I mean, not everyone is a Nintendo fanboy like us. I got to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
My brother probably doesn't know what it is.
Seriously?
He doesn't. He's never played a Nintendo system his whole life. He's been an Xbox kid his whole life. He's never played a Zelda. He doesn't care about Zelda games.
You should ask him. That would be interesting to see if he had heard of it. Does he know what it is?
I'll ask him.
Yeah.
I'll ask him and find out, and I'll report back.
Okay.
But 54% of people saying that yes, they're definitely play it. That's about what I expected. If every time I do these polls, if a game gets over 50%, that is a hyped game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because
Most anticipated game of the year, apparently.
right. So that is a great number for one of these polls. Usually it's always way lower, like 20s, 30s, maybe even like in the teens, in the 15s.
In the 15s.
In the 15s. So,
Breath of the Wild was a generational classic. It's a masterpiece. It's a high watermark in all of gaming. So, I can completely see why over half the people want to play the sequel.
Yeah, and we have 14% of people who are not sure. They're not sure if they're sold on it. I don't get that. I think you should be sold on it.
Yeah, I understand having that cynicism and that skepticism about new games, like we've talked about for a little while today, but not this one.
Not this.
Just go into this one with a naive hope.
Right.
I'm ready to be hurt by this one.
Me too.
I'm open to being hurt.
You're vulnerable and you're okay with it.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have some comments here on this. Tyrell Carter said, been waiting a long time for this.
Word.
This is the longest development cycle of a mainline Zelda game ever. And it's built on the same engine and using the same stuff as the previous game, which you would expect to be the quickest one ever. But it's the longest one ever.
Zelda Breath of the Wild came out in 2016 or
2017.
17? Okay. Yeah. That's a long time.
It's over 6 years. since the last one released, which is the longest of. I think it's the longest stint between mainline Zelda games ever.
Wow. So maybe it'll be amazing.
That's okay. I hope so. I really hope it is. You figure that every Zelda game, every one I've ever played, I've not played every single one. The only one I haven't played is
Wind Waker. No, you played Wind Waker.
I played Twilight Princess.
Twilight Princess.
It's the only one I haven't played, but every one I've played has at least been good, if not great.
Mm-hmm. It'll be good.
I've even played some of the little like spin-off and like handheld ones, and they're all good.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. All right, we got a comment from Jan Luca 2. He said, "Yep, as long as there are no technical issues like very bad frame rates and too many glitches." I mean, yeah, I agree. I hope they don't have that crap.
The first one did have some areas of the game that had horrible frame rates.
Mm-hmm.
But it was only like very specific areas of the game.
Yeah.
And glitches, I'm sure there were glitches, but I don't remember it being a problem.
No. I mean, as long as it's not a Pokemon Scarlet and Violet kind of situation with the glitches, I think I'll be okay.
Yeah. You didn't play Breath of the Wild at launch. You waited like a year or something, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You played it close because I got my Switch later.
That's right. You played it close to launch, though. You weren't too far away from
No, I wasn't too far away. People still were crazy about that game.
Right. But I don't remember there being too many glitches when I played it. And I played it at launch, and no issues. At least I played it within a couple months of launch. I didn't play it right in like day one, but I played it really close.
Yeah. It was the game I bought with my Switch.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Delusions of Grandeur said, if it hits a platform other than the Switch, maybe. If not, probably never. Well, I'm afraid it's going to be never if you're waiting for it to hit something other than the Switch.
Yeah.
Oh, Daniel's he's going to get talk about something that's illegal here.
No, I'm not. What are you talking about?
I could just see it in your eye. He had this little
little twinkle.
This little twinkle in his eye. And he's like, you could always emulate it.
You could emulate it. You could emulate it, but you would need to buy a cart first and dump the ROM.
Right.
So we got a comment from Yasso Boy. Said, I ain't got a Switch.
No, it says, I don't have a Switch.
I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to interject my personality.
You can't
Won't happen again.
You can't put your personality onto someone else's words, Daniel.
Sorry, Yasso.
That's not ethical.
I don't have a Switch. Crying emoji.
Now that's what's crazy is people, there are people who don't have Switches, and we're getting towards the end of the Switch's life. So at this point, it's kind of like, would you encourage someone to buy a Switch at this point?
I was about to ask you that question. Because who knows when the crap will get a new one?
I still see people. I still have. I teach lessons to kids.
Yeah.
And music lessons, and they. I still have people who want Switches who don't have them, and like we just got through Christmas. I had students who got Switches for Christmas, and they seemed super excited about it.
Heck yeah!
So I mean, it still I think has it has appeal, but at this point, I mean, I would probably say getting a Switch is worth it just to play Breath of the Wild and hopefully Tears of the Kingdom. So
yeah, and Smash, and Mario Kart. There's a lot of good stuff.
And play Smash as Link using his Breath of the Wild outfit.
Yeah. Champion's tunic.
The Champion's tunic, that's right. So.
Man, Randy, you got that thing zoomed in far enough, buddy?
I got to be able to read it. Daniel has this thing. He loves to make fun of how I can't read stuff very well from a distance. Not that I can't read, I can't see it.
It's not that I make fun of him for not being able to. I'm trying to show him that he should wear his glasses. If he if Randy didn't have glasses and he didn't have the resources to be able to see, and he was just doing the best he could, I wouldn't make fun of it.
Yeah, you would.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, you would.
Because that would be mean.
Yeah, you've never done anything mean to me before, so I definitely believe you.
These people are going to think we have an off-camera abusive relationship.
We do.
That is true.
Report it, please. Call whatever authorities you need to call and report Daniel.
And him.
And him. That'll really work. Okay. So,
okay, buddy.
We've kind of already talked about this a little bit, but I want to go into more detail, Daniel. What games have you been playing this week?
I've only been playing one game. The Witcher 3, and only The Witcher 3. So I didn't play this back in the day. All my friends were playing it. It sounded like the perfect game for me because I was all about those like big open world RPGs. I loved Fallout. I loved Elder Scrolls. Witcher 3 just sounded like the perfect game. And I got it. And I started to play it. And I just couldn't. There were so many menus. At launch on console, the text on the menus was also really small. They actually fixed that so that you could read the words. And I think I was just getting like big open world game fatigue, and I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't bring myself to it, even though I could tell it was an amazing game. Flash forward 7 years, and I'm playing this game now on my new Steam Deck.
Has it been 7? What year did it come out?
2015.
2015.
Oh my God, it's 2023 now.
Flash forward almost 8 years.
Yeah, almost 8 years, I guess. So I'm playing it on my new Steam Deck, and I will say that I think so. It's got that new next gen patch, you know, and with that has come some bugs, and I have had a couple of game crashes. But when I get on the internet, it seems like that has been pretty par for the course with this next gen update. They've released some hot fixes for it and things like that, and I've tweaked a few things, and it's just kind of random. Like sometimes I just won't get any for days, and then like this morning I played for like 45 minutes and it froze. You know, not the biggest deal in the world, but that has been slightly frustrating, but not enough to make me stop because it's freaking awesome. So I'm just going to talk about the game now. It's everything I thought it would be. It's everything I knew it was in 2015. It's just now I can play it.
It's definitely like one of my top 5 games of all time. I love it. I'm so glad you're playing it. And I know ever since I played it, I know I have harped on it and tried to convince you to play it for years and years, which is probably why you haven't done it. But I'm glad you're finally there.
I think I'm some sort of contrarian.
I know you're a contrarian. It's not something I think. I know.
I like to follow trends and do things that people tell me to do.
Yeah, let me tell you, you love it.
I'm not some sort of hipster.
You love it. No, but you know, like there are games that like you know, we recommend each other, and sometimes it takes one of us a while to get. Like, I still haven't played Hades yet.
Yes,
and
that's kind of my version of that. Yeah.
You've been trying to get me to play Hades ever since you played it, and I haven't done it yet. Now, I did buy the game.
I know.
You were there when I did it. I bought it, so I've made the first step towards playing it.
And I didn't, and I was really happy that you bought it, but I didn't want to just like come in too hot and heavy on it, so I haven't really mentioned it, but I was really glad that you bought it.
Right.
That is also a generational classic.
Yeah.
I'm just going to coin that phrase. Generational classic.
I don't think you're the first one to use it, Daniel.
I think in the room I am.
Okay.
But anyway, back to The Witcher. It is just, it really is amazing. I mean.
Yeah, if you haven't played The Witcher, like, it's definitely worth playing. And if you gave up on it early on, like Daniel did, it might be worth going back and trying it again to see.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I don't know what it is right now on Steam, but I got it for $8 during the Steam Winter Sale.
I bought it on...
That's amazing.
You know, I played it on Switch, but then I bought another version of it on PlayStation so that if I ever wanted to go back and really play it again, I would have it. And I think I only paid $10 for it. So,
yeah.
I mean, like, it's an old game now.
Yeah.
The only version that's expensive is the Switch version. I looked, and on the Switch eShop right now, it is still $60. Which is
I watched some videos of the Switch version compared to, you know, other versions of the game. And I think specifically Steam Deck is the video I watched. It was Steam Deck versus Switch. And, man, it looks rough on Switch. I mean, it plays.
It plays.
I watched the Game Ranks video on it, and they were like, you know, it's not like a miracle port, but it's The Witcher. You can play the game, and that in itself is cool. It's on a cartridge. You know, all that is really cool, and I'm glad it's on Switch. But if you have another option, I would say play it somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some benefits to playing in handheld, which is cool. But if you don't have anything other than the Switch, I'd still say play it because I played it all the way through in both DLCs.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And the fact that the game is just so good that it doesn't really matter if it's not the best looking version of the game.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
So, games I've been playing this week. I haven't started any new games this week except one. I started playing Doki Doki Literature Club, which, okay, I'm still confused about this. I started playing this because I think it's Scott the Waz always talks about this game. And so he's brought it up so many times, I was like, I just got to see what this game is about. So I started playing it, and so far, it's just kind of like a Japanese dating sim, but which is not exactly my cup of tea.
Randy actually loves those. He doesn't want to talk about it on camera.
I love them, even though this is the first one I've ever played. I do love them. And yeah, it's supposedly like a crazy horror game and like a psychological horror. I don't know. I'm not there yet in the game. I'm going to have to give it a little more time to see what happens.
Yeah, I actually didn't download it, but I put this in my library on Steam because of hearing you talk about it, because it's free on Steam. So I may try that one out too, especially if you report back and say it's as crazy as it sounds. But you pull it up on the Steam store, and it's like the picture of these like Japanese anime looking girls. It looks like some risque Japanese dating game.
Well, it's not risque at all. At least nothing I've seen so far has been risque.
But those games exist, is what I'm saying.
Oh, they do. They do. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they exist. Yeah.
But the tags are like you said, like psychological horror, and I'm like,
and it says like, do not play if you're easily disturbed, and it's like has all these warnings all over it, and it's like.
And you said it's only like a 4-hour game.
Yeah, I want to say it's like a 4-hour game, and I swear I'm like 3 hours into it.
I'm really. Really curious about this game.
Now I'm playing Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, which I don't know if is any longer, but
Doki Doki Literature Club Plus says 4.5 hours main story, and without the plus it says 4 hours main story. So, and Completionist without the plus is 7.5 hours. So it's not the most dense game.
No,
I am so curious.
Me too. I gotta find out. I don't know. If you've played it before, don't spoil anything because there's a chance I'll read the comments before I finish the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll report back next week with a definite answer on this. Okay. I've also been playing Nier Replicant still. The more I get into that game, the more I love it. It's really great. It's definitely got some old school RPG vibes, which I'm fine with. You know, it's cool. Even though this is the remake that came out, I think in 2021. You know, the game it's based on it's a remake of an older game. So it has those like Xbox 360 RPG mechanics that you'd expect.
Yeah.
But it's really fun. Yeah.
How does it compare to Automata? Automatopoeia.
It's good. I would say that it's not as good as Automata, in my opinion. But I mean, it's different in a lot of ways. Like, there are some similarities in combat. And it's story-wise, I think it's a prequel. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of shared things going on besides like the art style they've made to look like Automata's art style.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're definitely like, it reminds me of it in a lot of ways, but it has its own vibe.
Cool. Automata's great.
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
And if you're a fan of that game, there's an anime now for that game.
It just came out today as we're recording it.
Yeah. So by the time this podcast airs, you should be able to watch an episode if you want. That's pretty cool.
It's on, like, what did you say, on Crunchyroll or something?
I think you have to watch it on Crunchyroll, unless you have some other way of watching your off the cutting room floor anime. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
there's probably
other
other ways.
But also, Catherine and I have been playing Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. We are, I think we just moved into the 7th.
So you finished it?
No, we just moved into it. We haven't finished yet. We just started the 7th one.
But you finished the Star Wars movies, and now you're into like this weird.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, yeah.
Nah, I'm just dissing on the sequels.
No, you know, I mentioned this last week. I think that these are really more aimed towards people who know the movies much better than I do. You know, with the original trilogy, I know those fairly well. I watched those, you know, not a whole lot when I was a kid, but I had them on VHS and I did watch them. So I'm more familiar with them. The prequels, I watched when they came out, but it's been like 20 years since I've seen any of them. Except I did a thing this week and I went back and rewatched episode 1 and oof.
You did?
Yeah. Oof, man. It's not bad. I hate Jar Jar Binks.
Well,
I forgot how annoying he was.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things.
Like that, like, oh man, he's so annoying. I see why like people hated him so much. It's been like 20 years since I've seen these.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about rewatching all of the prequels just to kind of like I watched them when I was a kid, but it's been so long.
Man, episode 3 is really good.
Well, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again.
I mean, I like all the prequels for certain. They all have like certain parts in them that I just hold dear. But to me, the weakest one is 2.
Well, I'll have to. If I go back and rewatch the rest, I'll let you know what I think. I'll give you a review on them. But
I mean, Darth Maul in Episode 1, like lighting up, man.
Yeah, Darth Maul's cool.
Darth Maul's cool.
I, as a child, I loved the pod racing stuff. Loved the pod racer video game on N64. So like that, I was hit with a lot of nostalgia watching that.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Like, but
so sorry, this is a little off topic. It'll be quick, I promise. You know, in Episode 1, when Anakin and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are going back to the ship, they're finally leaving Tatooine. They got Anakin released from his slavery and all that.
Yeah.
And Darth Maul comes up on the speed bike, you know?
Yeah.
And Qui-Gon says, "Anakin, drop."
Yeah.
I watched a video one time on YouTube. It was an alternate history of what if Anakin didn't drop.
He just got smushed.
And it was so funny. The galaxy turned out really differently.
I bet it did. He just like, or if he like didn't drop, but he like gets hit and has like a maybe like some sort of brain damage.
Maybe like a Goku kind of thing where he's just pure hearted now.
Oh,
that'd be kind of cool.
Like Goku kind of bumped his head when he kind of landed on Earth.
Yeah.
So it'd be like a similar sort of thing to that. Like,
dude, Palpatine would be so mad if his apprentice turned his future apprentice good.
Right. Just by knocking him in the head.
Yeah. Hard.
He was coming in fast.
Oh yeah, he was coming in fast.
Oh, that'd be funny. So, now that we've reached the end of the podcast, this is the part where we like to shout out people who make it all the way to the end.
Yes.
And we do this through our 3 for Dale Club. So, what we do is, if you make it all the way to the end, we want you to put a comment in the comments saying 3 for Dale. That's our secret code word that we use to let us know that you made it all the way to the end. People read the comment and they'll be like, 3 for Dale, what in the world?
Mm-hmm. We're rednecks.
Little do they know that you made it all the way to the end of the podcast, and you're letting us know because we're going to shout you out at the end of the next one.
That's right.
So hit us with 3 for Dale Club, Daniel.
Well, I'm talking about the Graham Poobah of the 3 for Dale Club, the president himself, Landon Stallings. Again, dude, you're the man.
I all kinds of stuff in my life can go sour, turn off into weird direction. But there's one thing that stands. One constant,
yeah.
And it's Landon Stallings being part of the 3 for Dale Club. Landon, I can't say thank you enough. Right?
But we have another member this week that we also don't want to overlook. Punchy Punch. Yo, Punchy Punch. Good to have you, bro.
New member to the 3 for Dale Club. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. Punchy Punch left a really nice comment on our thing about how much that they enjoyed our podcast.
I'll have to go back and read it.
So thank you so much. Yep.
Thank you, Punchy Punch. Also, a word from our lack of sponsors.
Oh, yeah. You may have noticed no sponsor.
Yeah, I mean, to close out 2022, we were being sponsored by Ghost Rider for PS2. That deal ran out. We didn't part on sour terms. We're still cool with Nick Cage, but we're looking for a new game sponsor. It needs to be something obscure. We're not accepting like the Hogwarts Legacies and the Elden Ring.
No, we've already said no to all those.
Yeah,
right?
No.
We've said no to all the new games.
No Tears of the... You know what? Tears of the Kingdom wants it, they can have it.
That's the only one that hasn't reached out. That's a new game. We just I had to send a really sad email to Forspoken. They really wanted to sponsor us. I had to tell them no. Yeah, what can you do?
I mean, you got to be true. You got to have some integrity about you.
They knew that if they got Forspoken, if we even talked about it on the podcast, which now I'm doing, I realize I'm feeding into their plan.
Yeah.
They knew that if we
this is how it works.
They knew if we talked about the game, that the game would do so much better.
Right.
But
the gaming gig bump, if you will.
Yeah, the gaming gig bump. Everyone wants a little slice of the gaming gig pie. And but yeah, we're very picky. But the thing is to sponsor us, it costs a lot of money. So if you're gonna sponsor us, be willing to pony up.
Yeah. So anyway, let us know if you want a pony.
All right, guys. Until next time, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
This has been Gaming Gig.
Peace out.